MTA making history, fully shutting down overnight subway service, really for the first time in more than a century. Right now, more than 1,000 NYPD cops preparing to swarm the subway system when it shuts down at 1 a.m. Their orders to clear out the homeless and to give MTA workers room to clean the trains.
News 4's Ray Villeda kicks off tonight's team coverage live from East Harlem, where in just minutes, Ray, the MTA expected to give an update on that closure.
Natalie and Stephen, police are already here at the 96th Street stop. So are cleaning crews. And we're getting ready for a news conference that's set to take place in a few minutes, where MTA leadership will walk us through the process that's about to take place, the process of shutting down the MTA system daily.
So much disgust in this homelessness. It's just filthy.
Paul Chowfat describing his daily commute. He takes the 6 train from the Bronx to the Upper East Side every day, where he works as an engineer at a clinic.
It's definitely crowded, too crowded for me, you know. I guess since they cut the services, it's just too many people riding, so it's less trains. So it's just, it's been crazy. Some people wear masks, some don't.
With the new changes coming, he's hoping the train will be cleaner.
I get on the train, it's like debris all over the floor. It's outside station, and when the wind comes, it blows everything into the air, and it's so disgusting.
Starting at 1 a.m., the subway system will close until 5 a.m. every day. All 472 stations will close, and there will be a focus on the 29 terminal stations. 1,000 officers will be on hand to help. This will be in place throughout the crisis. The governor says 24-hour service will return at some point.
You tell me when the global pandemic is over, I'll tell you when the 24-hour service resumes.
The MTA will provide more bus service and rideshare opportunities like Uber and Lyft, as long as commuters have proper ID showing they're essential workers.
I am concerned about folks who typically use the subway system between the hours of 1 and 5, who for all kinds of good reasons haven't been consuming local media and may not realize that the subway system is not going to be functioning during those hours.
The reason for the shutdown is twofold. It's for crews to disinfect the trains and platforms, and it's also a way to move the homeless off the trains and platforms. With a spike in homelessness, more people are camping out at the end-of-line stations and on trains. Social services and police will work to move those folks into the shelter system. In the city that never sleeps, the subway system will now take a daily rest to emerge cleaner and safer.
I will feel even more comfortable knowing that the guys are cleaning the subways throughout the night. Shut it down.
11,000 commuters are expected to be affected by these changes. The MTA plans to add more bus service during the overnight hours. And again, we're expecting the MTA to brief us in a news conference expected to start in just a few minutes. We're live inside the 96th Street subway stop. I'm Ray Villeda, News 4 New York.
Okay, the subway rest period about to begin. Ray, thank you. We got another sobering look today at the toll that this pandemic is taking on New York City. According to a report released by Comptroller Scott Stringer, by the end of June, more than 900,000 New Yorkers will have lost their jobs. That's 1 in 5 people living in the city, or put another way, a staggering 22%. For context, the pre-COVID unemployment rate was just under 4%. During the Great Recession, it was just over 10%. Now to breaking news tonight. New York's Democratic presidential primary is back on. The State Board of Elections canceled it because of the pandemic, but a federal judge just ruled that canceling it would be unconstitutional. So it will go ahead as previously planned. That date is June 23rd. The ruling coming after a lawsuit filed by former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. The judge said there is still enough time to figure out how to make voting safe.
Sadly, people in the state of New Jersey are currently dying at a higher rate than New Yorkers, but hospitalizations in both states are down right now. And new tonight, out of the Garden State, the Archdiocese of Newark has announced that its cemeteries will reopen to visitors by Sunday. News 4's Checkey Beckford continues tonight's team coverage live from Holy Cross Cemetery in North Arlington.
Well, Natalie, we know that funeral homes and cemeteries have been overwhelmed during this pandemic, so it's quite fitting that visitations will begin here and at those other cemeteries on Mother's Day of all days, on a day when so many will be longing to visit the grave sites of their loved ones.
It has been a cruel fallout from the pandemic. Loved ones left without a chance to say goodbye to those they've lost. But as of Sunday, Mother's Day, the Archdiocese of Newark will once again allow people to visit grave sites. And on Monday, it is loosening restrictions on burial services. Up to 10 people will now be allowed to attend versus just 2 under the social distancing rules. Also reopening, about a dozen parks in Hoboken Friday, closed since the end of March.
I actually think opening up the parks will make it even better because there'll be less people on the sidewalk.
There are restrictions, like athletic fields and playgrounds remain off limits. Hoboken, one of the last cities in New Jersey to reopen its public rec spaces, nearly 2 weeks after neighboring Jersey City and a week after the state.
I think it's about time. I think, we need to adjust to the new norm, and I think we've done a good job around the Hoboken community.
The village of Ridgewood reining in its plans as far out as July, announcing it's canceling its Independence Day parade and fireworks celebration, one of the largest in North Jersey.
Back to the cemetery, social distancing rules remain in place and in-person masses are still postponed. We're live in Arlington tonight. Checkey, Beckford, News 4 New York.
All right, Checkey, thanks for that new information. Now to Connecticut, where we know there are now more than 30,000 COVID cases and 2,600 deaths. And for the first time in nearly 2 weeks, hospitalizations increased with 36 new admissions. In the meantime, today, Governor Ned Lamont announced that schools will remain closed in Connecticut for the rest of this academic year.